Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nixie coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. I wanted to talk about a great alternative just in case if you don't have the UAD Distressor or the UA Fatso. I wanted to go over this great alternative, which is the Soft Tube Empirical Labs Mic E channel strip. So we also know that the Distressor is one of the Swiss Army knives of compression. It's a legendary unit. So we're gonna go over that, how we can get some very good sounds and some exotic ways to use it. So if you guys do have any more questions or comments, go ahead and drop it down below. I'm more than happy to get to it. I might even do a video where I'm talking about what is the best plugin bundle, because lately I've been doing some videos where it's like, okay, there's this expensive plugin, let's find a cheaper alternative for people who are beginning. So if you want me to see me do a whole video talking about what is, like, you know, the best plugin bundle, I'll go ahead and drop it down below. I'm more than happy to get to it. Let's not waste no time. Let's start playing a little bit of music and, you know, start getting into it. Let's go.
It's all love. It's all love. What? Hey. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless, I'm the man.
Ooh, I'm getting a little too hyped. So, all right, let's get right into the video. So we got to understand, you know, kind of the whole family that we're looking at here, you know, all of these units. So, you know, in the beginning, you know, Dave Durr, he used to work at Eventide. He was actually a part of the creation of the H3000, which is a legendary unit, a hit unit. He was a part of a classic like that. So he took his experience over time. He went to go ahead and make his own studio. He had his own little studio. And the main thing about his studio is that he had some people telling him, okay, you need to get some equipment. One of them things was the 1176 for the drums, and another one was like a LA2A, you know, workhorses. But then he kind of ran into a couple of issues with something like the 1176 and the LA2A, you know. With the LA2A, you know, it was kind of hard because at the time they weren't even making those anymore. Like, they weren't even in production anymore, and it was hard to get the parts, you know. It was hard to service these things, and they also made a lot of noise. With the 1176, he had two 1176s for his drums, but kind of like with some types of hardware, you know, sometimes they're not going to be matched. You know, they might not move, or they might not completely sound the same at all. So it was pretty difficult for him to work in the studio. So he started making his own compressor pretty much. And then that's how you had the birth of the Distressor, which is like his first son, his first baby pretty much. We know the Distressor to be quote unquote the Swiss Army knife of compression, because it can emulate all of those different types of compressors, like a Fairchild. It can emulate a LA2A. It can emulate a 76, a DBX 160, all of that stuff. Cool. So after that, you know, he went along the lines to go make something like the Fatso. That was like the transition. So I think the Distressor came out like in the 1990s. Then it was like the 2000, a little P. Everybody was kind of transitioning on the computer, and it wasn't sounding the same like how it was sounding before, you know, the tape with the life and everything like that. So he came through to make the Fatso to take off some of that, quote unquote, I hate to say it, digital edge. So that's how the Fatso was kind of born. And the Fatso has the warp circuit that is very well known for. All right, cool. Then after that, we had something like the Mic E, which is kind of like the little brother, you know. So the Mic E is a kind of a blend of everything. You know, you get the preamp section, which gives you the saturation. And then you have the high emphasis, the high frequency emphasis, that kind of gets some inspiration from the Fatso. Then you have the compressor circuit from the Distressor. So the Mic E is pretty dope. The Mic E is pretty raw. And, you know, this is the plugin right here that I kind of wanted to go over today and everything like that. So the very first thing I want to look at is how to use something like this on the actual lead vocal. So Distressors, they're very well known for having all the different types of ratios and stuff like on it. But the Mic E is a little bit different. So let's listen to how I was able to spice this up with the Mic E real fast. Let's go. Come on.
I'm good, I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good, I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but a lot it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, cause regardless I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time.
So the most important thing about using compression and saturation or using any tool, being an engineer is like being an artist. You trying to portray the picture of what the rapper's coming through. So he's rapping about that love. You know, he's rapping about, you know, being in the club, being off of drugs. And you know that when you on drugs or you drunk, you kind of like a little bit wobbly. You kind of a little bit heavy. That's why when people they drunk, they fall over. So as an engineer, that's why life perspective is so important, because as I'm hearing this, I'm like, damn, I got to make it sound like it's sluggish and sluggish. So that's what the Mic E is known for doing. Also just giving a lot of weight. You know, because if you weigh a lot, then you're going to move slowly. So pay attention to that as well. You know, with the Mic E, you kind of have some different ratios, like the 1-1, which kind of turns into like just a straight up saturator. No, absolutely no compression. We're going to look at that. Then you have the 2-to-1, you have the 4-to-1, you have the 8-to-1, you have the nuke. My favorite ratio on the actual Distressor is 6-to-1. So it's interesting how that is not here. But here are the sections you have. You have the preamp, which drives the Distressor kind of compression unit. You have the high end frequency emphasis. So, you know, how much of the high end is it kind of like reacting to and all that stuff. That kind of takes from the Fatso, one of its other brothers. And then after that, you have the attack. And the attack is pretty interesting because on the Distressor, you have like a variable attack and release, you know, those famous knobs we know. But on something like the Mic E, it's fixed. So this is kind of good too if you're a beginner, you know, using fixed attacks and release, because it's easier for you not to mess it up essentially. So let's just pay attention as well how I was able to use the Mic E to give it weight. Don't pay attention to anything else, but pay attention to who you think is fatter and who sounds like they're a little bit bigger in size. Pay attention. Come on.
I'm good that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but a lot it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, cause regardless I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies do.
Now, as you can obviously pay attention, you know, compression can be used as an effect. So me as an engineer understanding I got to make his vocal sound heavy, being smart. You already hear which one sounds fatter. You already hear which one sounds fatter. So that's the main thing too about compression and saturation. So with something like the Mic E, it adds a little bit more of that harmonic density. It feels like he gained 30 to 40 pounds overnight with that one simple plugin. So that's very important to know. I used it as an effect to make it sound bigger. Sometimes if you have a rap song where the 808 is so heavy and big, you might want to make the vocal sound a little bit bigger as well, you know, so that it could stand up right next to it and be like, yeah, I'm ready to go right with you, you know, get up all in its face like a boxer, you know. So pretty much that's how I kind of use something like the Mic E on the lead vocal. After that, usually when it comes to something like the Distressor, I like to use the Distressor on parallel compression. Most of the time, something like the nuke mode. You know, Dave Durr, as I was doing a little research about him, he said that he has sent one of the prototypes to an engineer who was working with a punk rock band called the Ramones. If you know that one song, let's go. That the engineer who worked with that group, right? Pretty much what happened was he said, oh man, I need something for my overheads because my 1176s, they be acting up too. You know, my 1176s be acting up. So I need something that's gonna do the same thing as an 1176, go crazy like the all buttons in mode, you know, inside of your unit, and you know, push it, give me some more distortion, kind of like how an 1176 does too. When you put it in all buttons in mode, it also changes like the bias current, so it just gives you more saturation, more honey garlic, more lemon pepper, more seasoning, more ranch dressing, more Caesar dressing. It gives you all that stuff. So that's what the Distressor has the nuke mode for, and that's a very, very popular mode. But usually when I use a Distressor, I use more than one parallel compressor. I use a couple of them too. So I never hit this one really too hard, but let's go back and forth between how I like to use something like the mic E as a great alternative to the nuke mode on a Distressor. The mic E also got its own nuke mode too, so let's pay attention to that. And the main thing I want y'all to see is also the release time. You know, when you have something like the release time, that's very important. So because this is a mellow song, I used a little bit of slower release, but we're going to pay attention to how on the mic E, a faster release creates a sense of urgency. And sometimes that might mess up the actual theme of the song. So the theme of the song is, yeah, vibe, swag, chill, chill. It's not like a banger where he's rapping fast with a lot of energy. So let's pay attention. Let go. Come on.
I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but a lot of it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, cause regardless I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but a lot of it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, cause regardless I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me.
So that right there is an example of the language of compression. Which one sounds like they're in a rush in traffic? Which one sounds like they're trying to get to the workhouse faster? Which one sounds like they're speeding? It sounds like the mic E is kind of speeding. It sounds like the mic E is kind of going a little faster just because of the actual release time. So understanding the release time is very important. Sometimes if the release time is too slow, too sluggish, it will kind of kill the vibe. It will hold back the potential of the vocal. But sometimes if the release time is you know, too fast, then it will create the sense of urgency that maybe is not always needed. You could use this compression as kind of like an effect. You could use like a situation where the verse has a faster, you know, release time, and it just sounds like more energy, and then maybe the release time of the hook is a little bit slow, a little bit more vibe, a little bit more chill. Or unless in a song like this, I had to go with something like the nuke mode on medium release and everything like that, because you just hear it sounds more chill, it sounds more swag, it goes better with the theme of the song. So that's why I'm trying to get y'all understand today that compression is also an effect, you know, kind of just like any reverb or delay like that. You can use it in a creative way. It's not about just, oh, taming peaks, I'm just taming the peaks, because look at all that potential. You hear the difference. Size, thickness, the fatness. You know, we made the lead vocal kind of sound like it was obese and it had diabetes because it gained all this size, it gained all this weight. It sounded like it was eating at a buffet all day long just because of compression. You know, that language of compression, making everything sound different. You know, big people, no offense, they usually talk different. They usually have a heftier voice. So that's kind of what you got to understand with compression too. The language, how you're making the music talk to the listener. Okay, so yeah, that's how I like to use it in parallel compression. And of course, the mic E, it got its own nuke mode. The attack was medium and the release was fast. So it had more of a sense of urgency, more grabby and more let go-y, but still was doing the same amount of compression, the same amount of dB. All right, so now the last thing I wanted to talk about is the mic E, how it takes a little bit of influence from something like the Fatso. So like I had said previously before, the Fatso is very well known for emulating that tape type of compression. Back in the day, people never had a way to visualize the actual tape compression. It's not something they could ever see. It's something that they could only ever hear. So usually with something like the Fatso, the high frequency, you know, the tape warp circuit kind of starts somewhere, I believe at like 5K, 7K, kind of quote unquote in the harshness region. So it's really good for something like vocals if you want to de-harsh, or if you have something like on your overall mix. I think it's pretty overpowered for rap music because sometimes you might have a 2-track beat where you can't control the hi-hats. You know, you want to maybe make your vocal a little bit brighter, but the perks are just so bright and everything. And using something like the Fatso, just the warp circuit is pretty good because it can de-harsh kind of like your whole entire mix all together and give it a more mellow vibe. So understanding this mix is all about mellowness, it's all about nighttime, the club, chilling, you know, drugs, vibing. I went with that. So that's the thing about letting the music talk to you. Understanding the theme of the song, the music is gonna talk to you and tell you what the hell you gotta do. So sometimes you gotta shut up and just listen to the music, bruh. So yeah, let's look at this really quickly. Just paying attention to the Fatso, how it's gonna be tickling the hi-hats, tickling the open hats, just mellowing the whole song out.
I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless, I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm not the one for you.
So as you can obviously pay attention, something like the Fatso, what it's doing is kind of like de-harshing the hi-hats. I mean, it is mellowing the whole top of the mix, but pay attention, it's only really triggered when the hi-hats are that little back-to-back, you know, type of hi-hat tickle, and it kind of starts to get a little harsh. So that's a great way to use something like a Fatso, is to kind of like de-harsh only the top end. And, you know, with the Mikey, it's kind of a little bit different. I don't think it's exactly like the Fatso, but I used it right here to actually just beef up the whole song. So I'm using the 1-to-1 ratio, and I played around with the preamp a little bit, just 2 dB and everything like that. This stuff doesn't really matter because the compression circuit isn't really in, but pay attention to how now I'm using the Mic E as a saturator to beef up the low end. And that's what, you know, Empirical Labs is known for, a lot of color. The Distressor is known for a lot of color. The Fatso is known for, you know, changing the tone and the brightness and everything. So let's look.
Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't.
And when you guys are hearing this, I want you to just pay attention to the 808. Listen to the 808, how like the 808 is kind of sitting in the back, you know. And really, if you have a 2-track beat, you can't adjust that. You can't change that. That's like trying to go through a door and you don't even have the key. You know, you're locked on the other side. So how I got myself in through the door, how I kicked the door down, is using something like a Fatso, you know, essentially. No, not the Fatso, using the Mic E comp to beef up that 808. So pay attention to the 808 with and without it.
Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless, I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm not the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies do. This the last one, girl, I promise you.
And I also use the mix knob. So this is another situational awareness type of thing that's important to know. Pay attention to how the 808 don't come through that much. Boom, 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 boom. So that was also a cue as well. Listening to the 808, knowing like, damn, you know, that 808 not coming through that frequently. But when it come through, I got to make sure it hit. I don't have control over the 2-track beat, so I use something like a little bit of parallel saturation, using something like the Mic E comp to juice up that 808. Now that 808 coming through, boom, thump, thump. The 808 not coming through too often, but every time it come through, it's a thump. It's a nice bam to it. Versus where I didn't have the mic E, the 808 was kind of sitting in the back, and I just feel like that wasn't appropriate for the song because it's already sitting in the back and it's not coming through very often like a kid in the classroom. You know, it's sitting in the back of the class and they don't come to class that often, so it's like whatever. But what I did is I put it out in the front. You know, I put it out in the front and I made it just a little bit more active. So even though it don't show up to class that much, even though it's in the front, you still know that, hey, this motherfucker is in my class because he's out in the front, if I could explain it like that. So that's pretty much the whole video that I have today. Some outside of the box ways I like to use the mic E, explaining everything. So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate y'all now. Peace.